What's up, guys? This is Darrell. This is going to be my first movie review. It's going to be Avengers Endgame, which is a good one to start off on. Well, it's going to be a long one, so hopefully you guys stick tuned. This is going to have spoilers, obviously. I waited about a week until after the movie release so we could talk about it fully. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, then I recommend stopping the video, go watch it, and then come back because there's going to be a lot of talking about this. So let's get straight to it. So Avengers Endgame is about 3 hours and 2 minutes long. Um, it's obviously directed by the Russo brothers, and it's the end movie of the Infinity Saga. The Infinity Saga is pretty much from Iron Man up to Avengers Endgame. So that's I think Phase 4 is going to be after. I don't think Black Widow, because it's supposed to be a prequel, is going to be in Phase 4, but Phase 4 should be the next just iterations. I think maybe Spider-Man Far From Home, the next Spider-Man movie coming out. I think it might be the last one. I'm not really sure, but this movie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the opening scene and go to the very end, and I'll try to nitpick in between, but this is going to be a long one, so just stick around. Okay, so the opening scene starts with Clint, aka Hawkeye, and he's also playing Ronin in this movie. It starts with him and his family doing some type of picnic type thing, or I don't know, some outside thing, whatever it is. But so he's with his daughter, his boys, and then his wife, and he's teaching his daughter how to shoot an arrow, and he's talking to his wife, and then he can't find his daughter, and then he's talking to his daughter, and he can't find the rest of his family, and they get dusted, and it just brings back all the stuff from Infinity War. Just the very ending, it just brings back all those emotions and everything to see them get dusted, because it just shows the impact of what happened with Thanos and him using that gauntlet. Man, it brought all those emotions back. I like that they did that opening scene, and I think they did it right. As soon as that movie starts, you're just back in it from where it ended off. So I think that was props to them for doing it like that. Also, one thing I wanted to mention is the trailers for this movie. They released, I think, 3, maybe 4 official trailers, and it didn't give anything up about the story, which I like. It teased the right amount what it needed to do. Especially I think the first one was the Super Bowl commercial, maybe. I want to say that the entire trailer, it only shows, like, I would assume, like, the first 5 minutes of Endgame. It doesn't reveal anything, which I like, because some trailers, they come out and then they completely tell the whole plot and everything, and you kind of lose interest as you're watching the actual movie because you've seen so much from the trailers. But they did such a good job with this movie and the trailers. So going back to the movie, when Iron Man and it's not Gamora, Nebula are in I think is it the Guardians of the Galaxy's ship or something like that? You see Iron Man giving his speech, and he's skinny, which I really enjoyed, because a lot of space movies, they'll leave out the parts where you're in space. So if you're not working out or exercising and eating everything right, then you lose that bone density and you lose muscle very fast. So I like how they use that CGI for Robert Downey Jr. to make him look a little skinny, because it definitely had an impact, and it just it made it a little more visual appealing to see how far he's degenerating, and it shows that how long he's been in outer space, and it's really good. The thing with Captain Marvel, so she comes after he's about to lose hope or whatever, and then brings Iron Man back to Earth. The thing about Captain Marvel is, I watched the Captain Marvel movie, and I liked it. But it seemed like they hyped her up way too much for this movie, and then she's in the movie for like literally 5 minutes. She's in there for that scene where I said with Iron Man, and then a little bit when she's talking to Black Widow when they're on some kind of council or whatever, and then at the end of the movie. And that's literally it. Them killing Thanos in the first 15 minutes, I think that led that was a really good decision, because after that you're like, well, they killed him, so what's the story after this? You have 3 hours left of a movie, and you had to keep guessing, and I really like that they kind of like switched it up on us. And then Thor, his just "I went for the head" kind of quote right there. It was just really funny. I think that they did a wonderful job with the beginning of this movie. I will say that I've seen this movie twice, and the first time I watched it, I didn't really notice that the first hour and a half or 2 hours, it goes by so slow. The pacing was a little slower than I'd like. Yeah, another thing we need to talk about is their choice to do a time skip. So they did from where they killed Thanos, and then it says 5 years later, which um, it kind of throws you off again. Like all that stuff happened, and then after they're just gonna skip to 5 years later, which I thought it was a bold move. I didn't mind it. I just it was a little unexpected. The whole emotional tone for this movie, it's it's completely different from Infinity War, and throughout this movie, you can just kind of, based on the tone, you can feel the effect that the snap had with all of the characters. I mean, especially Thor, but I'll talk about that later. Um, you can just feel the tone really well in this movie, and they just shoot everything around that. And I liked it because in Infinity War, it kind of felt like they had a chance, and at the end, you lose all hope, and they kind of keep that pace. You don't know what to expect, and anything is possible because they dusted everybody at the end. That you're just kind of more intrigued about what's going to happen next, which was pretty cool. The big thing about this movie is the time travel plot, which I love. I love time travel movies and all that. And I think they did it really well here. One of the big things I had a problem with in this movie was the Professor Hulk. Now, if you guys haven't read the comics, they actually do a Professor Hulk, and I think he might be Gray Hulk. Man, it was such a disappointment because at the beginning of Infinity War, Hulk gets decimated, man. He gets killed by Thanos, and I really wanted that redemption scene where Hulk just gets furious and he just smashes Thanos. That's what I was hoping for, and I think, and a lot of the majority of the fans were hoping for it too. But instead, we get Professor Hulk, and it's just this big, funny, just funny comic relief character, and I was kind of disappointed in that because in all of the Avengers movies, you see a little bit of what the Hulk's capable of, but he's nothing compared to the comic books. I mean, World War Hulk is just insanely strong, and I think that they would have done a better job if they were able to play some of that. The very first Hulk just kept that kind of angry giant monster looking Hulk, instead of just like every time we see him in these movies, he's just getting less strong and less strong and less strong. And in this movie, he's Professor Hulk, and I couldn't get behind it that much. I understand the direction they went with it, but it was just very disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, I'm going to talk about the Fat Thor. I understand the comic relief, and it was very funny for the first 10 minutes, and then I thought that they were going to make him skinnier or at least more fit at the very end when he's fighting Thanos, but they keep with the fat Thor the whole movie, and this is like an all out. I would assume that they'd make Thor the strongest he can possibly be. The elevator scene where Captain America, they do like a reshoot of what he was in Winter Soldier, where he had that amazing elevator fight scene, and then he just got out of the situation by saying Hail Hydra because they knew from the previous movies. I thought that was really good. And the whole going back to where the original movie started, I love that. I love that they went to the original Avengers movie in New York, and that they had Hulk pretending to be all this monster when he's Professor Hulk, and just them revisiting all those previous movies that we've seen. I thought that was really funny, and that was a great choice for them to do because it just gave us so much satisfaction of re-seeing those movies in a different light, which I thought was awesome. They do a lot of fan pleasing in this movie, and I think that it almost makes up for the heartbreak of the way that Infinity War ended. So when Thanos is waiting for Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America to make their last stand or whatever, and then Thor wields both hammers, I thought that was badass, even though he was the Christmas fat-looking Thor. I thought it was really cool. And that whole fight sequence was really awesome before the major fight scene. I thought that they did a pretty good job with the choreography for that. So during that fight scene, Captain America wields Thor's hammer, which it just brings so much it's mostly just like a fan service that they did because in what was it, Age of Ultron, that he barely lifts the Thor's hammer, and then it's kind of like funny and we all laugh and everything, and then he actually gets to wield it this time. I thought it was badass. with that being said, Thanos grabbed what is it, Stormbreaker, and it's just I don't know what the rules are with Stormbreaker if you're supposed to be worthy or not, but then Thanos just grabs it like it's nothing. And then also the thing that I wanted to talk about was him destroying Captain America's shield. Like the whole point of the shield is that it doesn't break. So I was kind of questionable about how they ended the movie with Captain America going back to the past and him coming back when he's old. I know that Chris Evans, this was going to be his last movie, so I was surprised that they didn't kill him off, but I'm glad that they did it the way that they did and just making him old man Captain America. I thought that he was going to give the shield to Bucky, to be honest. I just thought that the Winter Soldier was going to continue the legacy of Captain America, so I hope that he does a good job with it in the future movies. I'm excited to see how that plays out. The very, very end where it shows Captain America and Peggy Carter just dancing in the 40s or whenever the first Avengers movie takes place. I thought that it would be a little more epic of a send-off with all of the characters, but I'm not mad at the way that they ended it. I just thought that they could have been a little more grand for it being the last movie, but I think it was a good way to end the characters from Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. because I know in real life they didn't want to continue playing those characters because they've been in it so long, and I definitely understand wanting to finally retire as their characters in the MCU. I definitely get it. This movie was incredible. Like I said, there's a lot of good things compared to a lot of bad. This is probably the best MCU movie that they've made. I really liked the first Avengers movie, but this one just, they tie so much of it, and you invested so much into watching all of these movies year after year after year that this one just does it justice, and it's probably the best one that they've ever made. If I had to put it on a scale, I'd probably say 9.6 out of 10. This is something that you can watch time and time and time again, and I'll definitely be doing that as the movies continue to come out because they're not going to stop making these movies. And then the transition that they're going to bring in the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and all that they bought from Fox, I think that that's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to watch those movies. So all in all, this movie was great, and it definitely lived up to the hype. I'm looking forward to watching more of the Marvel Cinematic Universe expand and just seeing more of the comics portrayed in film. So that's going to be it for my movie review of Avengers Endgame. Like I said, it was a fantastic movie, and I encourage everybody to watch it again 2 or 3 times just to get all the stuff that they missed in there. I tried to make this video as short as I possibly could, but it was just a lot of stuff to tie in. So thank you for bearing with me. If you guys watch this video to the very end, go ahead and subscribe or like if you want. And I'm going to catch you guys next time. So hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Peace.